pantheism leading into potentially
Right, right.
paganism due to worshiping Gaia, and then also it being the a potential gateway into nihilism.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it is. I think many people who call themselves pantheists would be very comfortable with saying that they are New Age pagan or interested in pagan ideas or whatever the case may be. And I do think, uh, I mean, I think the Native Americans were pagan, and I think that um, that is a destructive ideology because it's not true. Now, I think what you're pointing to is, well, just honoring life and being respectful to the earth, of course, as a general principle, is fine. I mean, that's in Christianity. We have to be good stewards of the earth, and we're here. This is God's creation. It's not a aberration. It's not a junkyard that we've been tossed into. It's supposed to be um, something that we care for and marvel at and appreciate. So yes, of course, generally respecting the creation and treating all life as sacred is not a bad thing. The issue is, I think the core issue to all these points is the fact there's a confusion of what role humans have, and the Native American flavor of it. And really, when we talk about this, we're sort of talking about the broad stereotype, mostly that we understand through like Disney movies, not actual like Native American mythology, which is super varied and weird and not cohesive. And so, anyhow, that's a whole separate discussion. But the idea that of Gaia, the idea that Earth Mother is, our goddess and overseer, is the idea that we are subordinate, that we are not um, imagers of God. We're not here as stewards of the creation. We are here as um, serfs, essentially. Because a steward is someone who takes over the king's position while the king is away. So the idea of a steward is you are in charge, and that's in Christianity. And I provide a secular biological point, an argument earlier in the book in part two, where I point out no matter what, we just by the nature of our consciousness, we are in control of what happens in the world. Even if we decide to take no intervention, the world only ends up being what it is because we decided to take no intervention and then acted on that decision. Our consciousness is superior to the world. So we do have the position of um, steward, of dictator if we choose to take it that route. But we are in charge. So the idea that there's this spirit that is not the universal God and is this other caretaker of the world, that actually is and it's a pagan idea. It's a demonic idea. It's an idea that we are subservient to spirits. And the idea of Christianity, which you can definitely call vain, you can definitely call arrogant, but at least the claim is that um, we are going to judge the angels. We are in the position of authority, regardless of the fact that there's the fall. The fall creates complications to that, but that's still the reality. So, yeah, that's a crazy claim, many would say, but there's a lot of technical arguments that can be had about it, but I think it's actually describes reality. So, anyhow, yes, you would fall into paganism if you're taking that view of we're just this epiphenomena. And then that gets back to the idea of how do we relate to the infinite? If we are just these little weird growths that, yes, participate in sacred life, but we are just one among the many participants and we're as important as ants or whatever, then that's going to lead you down a certain path. And that's one of the many paths of paganism. On the other hand, I think just sort of hand in hand with the intellectual appeal comes the modern intellectual baggage of um, nihilism. But more than that, I make an argument in here that the problem with this intellectual approach is that even if you call God the universe, and I don't think that's an inherently blasphemous claim or something like that. I mean, I don't have much problem with saying God is the universe, in the sense that when universe means all of existence, including existence itself, the universe is everything, truly everything. Though I guess it goes beyond things, so you get semantic there. But I think that's fine. But I think the issue is in practicality, when we say God is the universe, we picture in our minds the extent of planets and the stars, and we think, okay, that's God. We miss the fact that we're not really accounting for like the space in between or the the spiritual realm at all. Like anything that we can't see slips our mind. And so inevitably we end up limiting God and saying, okay, God is this infinite physical expanse. Like, yes, it's infinite, but it's still limited by being just physical. Or even if you say, oh, there's a spirit realm and God includes that too. But okay, like, there's always something missing. There's always something more that's not going to be accounted for. And so I think that's the issue with having this intellectual understanding. It's going to pull us back and have us limiting God. And then that takes away the reality of God. And that brings us to the idea that there's no unifying factor, that the infinite is not self-saturating, there's not the fractal connection there, and then we lose the real depth of the image of God part of it. And then we even if we're in the midst of a wonderful creation, we can still end up wondering, okay, but are our lives really significant, or is just there's just this infinite creation where a bunch of stuff is happening and it's cool for a while and then it decomposes and stops and doesn't amount to anything. So the that I think I mean that is nihilism. Unless you believe that your individual, starting with thoughts, internal actions, and then external actions proceeding from there, unless you believe that your actions are significant and are going to be judged, then you're in nihilism. Like, I mean, that is what it comes down to. I'm sure a lot of people won't like that idea and will argue against it, but that's just what it is. If your actions are not ultimately significant, then they're not ultimately significant. So that's that. So either if there's ultimate significance in our actions, then that goes beyond the idea of a just infinite expanse of sacred life. There's something greater and something that has reflexive ability, and that something um, takes into account our individual lives and our choices and our thoughts, and um, makes these things meaningful. And once you're in that realm, you're in the realm of the Christian God. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
Wow. Yeah. So it's basically like decaf coffee. It's the idea that there's something beyond, or that there is that divine order, but it's only so much that you can perceive within your five senses. Anything outside of that goes beyond the idea of intellectualism, and therefore isn't real, because then you're going, or isn't real, right? You're going and then into metaphysics, and then they just don't want to dabble in that, and so they're missing the caffeinated aspect of it, which is that great mystery.
Right.
And that's incredible. You're absolutely right in your answer to the tie-in with paganism, with it kind of it provides a platform for humans to be subservient or inconsequential in the grand story. Like you said, we're on the level of ants. We're just little uh like a virus on the earth, with our industrialization and our,
Yeah.
cow farts, so it takes that, the importance of the stewardship of, like you said, while God is away or he's not, we are then here, we have that responsibility to be that level of a caretaker, and there's importance in that.
Mhm.
Um,